feels like we're going into some repeat territory here, to be quite honest, but I'm not above watching something again if I enjoyed it the first time around. Not to say many people enjoyed the DeWanna Bonner tenure with the Indiana Fever too much, but Sophie Cunningham did say something on her new podcast that is going to get people talking about the way Bonner exited the team. I'm kind of over and done with the story. I don't really think Bonner matters in the scheme of the Indiana Fever season anymore. They've gotten better since she left. They beat her in the rematch, or when she returned to Indianapolis with the Mercury. They got Ari McDonald, they got Chloe Bibby, but still the circumstances around her departure are what led to her being booed, and her being booed was a story. And we probably got a little bit more information, I guess, about the circumstances of her departure from Sophie Cunningham. I don't often use the phrase spills tea because I'm a grown middle-aged man, but nonetheless, I feel like it qualifies here. And this is a bit of what Sophie said about DB's exit from the Fever.
I like DB because DB was one of my vets when I was in Phoenix, and then we gathered here into Indiana, and it was kind of a surprise that she was signed to Indiana anyway. And so we'll take her in a heartbeat. She's a Hall of Famer. She's a hell of a basketball player, can score from anywhere on the court. But she got to Indiana and she just really wasn't happy. And I want people to be happy. So that's why I'm kind of neutral on this one, which a lot of people are surprised about. She's towards the end of her career. So she deserves her flowers. She deserves to be happy. But I also think that if you're going to leave, you're going to have to expect getting booed.
Was there explanation when it happened? No, not even privately. Yeah, I mean, okay, that's tough. And yeah, okay. Well, I did say unless you leave on some fuck you type shit, and that's what that is. So
yeah,
and it's family, I guess. But you gotta get. I mean, sometimes if you're doing things that inconvenience other people, but they're better for you, you have to do it. But let someone know.
I think there's
sorry. Yeah. Say what you're doing.
Yes, I think I'm right there with you. I think I'm still rooting for her. I want her to end her career and be happy. But I also think that it's okay to be professional about it and send a text to your teammates. Send a text and be like, hey, love you guys. Or you don't even have to say love you guys. Just hey, sorry this didn't work out. Good luck. You know what I mean? There's a way to handle that, I think.
Yeah, that wouldn't be wrong. Look, it sounds like the Bonner exit was messy, as we all suspected. It sounds like Bonner left the team a little high and dry in the situation, as you could tell by the absence before making her way to the Mercury. And obviously, DeWanna Bonner earned the boos from the Indiana Fever crowd. As far as everything else, I am ready to close the book on the Bonner chapter, especially given the way the Fever are rolling and the fact that she kind of did them a favor by leaving in the first place. Now, another old story has emerged as well, and that is Caitlin Clark's treatment across the WNBA. And, whether it rises to the status of needing to be addressed by the government. There was a Wall Street Journal piece that I would have ignored, but I had some people reach out to me, and I had this comment in particular. Savage Coffee and Tea Company, a fan, says, "We'd love to hear your take on an upcoming video on the video that Stephen A. Smith put out today on the whole Wall Street Journal article and Cece." So I'll let Stephen A. present some of what the Wall Street Journal article had to say, and then tell you my thoughts after that. This is a bit from his show.
They said this is where they're going now. Ms. Clark's targeting may reflect a culture of disparate treatment, and the evidence provides reasonable cause for a federal probe into potential civil rights violations. Am I making it up now? Remember I said this months ago. Remember I talked about people being jealous. The Cheryl Swoops of the world and others. Remember I pointed that stuff out? Remember I talked about the rough housing? Remember I talked about all of that? Let me read further. This would mirror the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission investigation into the Erica Hamby's pregnancy discrimination claims against the WNBA and her team. Congress and Labor and Justice Departments would be justified in examining the facts At Harvard and Columbia, during anti-Semitic protests, institutional leaders played down threats and failed to protect students. Congress and Trump's administration demanded answers. Columbia's recent $221 million settlement for civil rights violations shows the effect of such scrutiny. If the Trump administration can settle with Columbia for a $221 million settlement over what's taking place on the campus, you think you can definitively rule out what kind of noise can be made if the WNBA continues to allow this treatment of Caitlin Clark? You really, really think they're going to be silent? Now, before you go any further, I'm not here saying that the case could be will be won by the government if it got to that point or anything like that. I'm saying they have a case. They have an argument. And do we doubt that at his discretion, at his disposal, if he finds this to be an issue that's politically expedient for him, that Trump won't use this to feed his base?
I don't doubt that last part at all. I wouldn't doubt that last part at all. I certainly wouldn't dismiss that as a possibility. As far as the story on its own, really, look, I've called it out. I've said that the way Caitlin Clark has been officiated is egregious and it needs to be rectified. And Sophie Cunningham, who we saw before, said they haven't protected the star player of the WNBA. That's on the league. That's on the officiating. It needs to be cleaned up. If the proper actions are taken in the first place, many of these things don't escalate. There also obviously has been a level of resentment to her popularity over the time period that she's been in the WNBA. But you know who we haven't heard make these cases? Caitlin Clark. And of course, she's sick of it to a certain extent, or she made that comment after the Commissioner's Cup, everybody's going to be sick, or, everybody's going to hate this. But this is another example, and in a way I'm guilty of it too by even talking about it, of how Caitlin Clark's name can be used to generate engagement, generate and stir up anger and all these other rage baiting sort of aspects because she's so popular, and people who have no wherewithal about the workings of the WNBA or basketball or the Indiana Fever just gravitate to this stuff. It's like throwing chum to sharks, or, blood in the water, or whatever the analogy you want to use. It's the Carnival Barker thing I've said before. So let's just hope, for the sake of sanity, it doesn't rise to the level of a federal investigation, but it just does go to show you the level of fame Caitlin Clark has achieved. But it's kind of mind-boggling, because I always say her popularity is based on basketball, but so much of the talk isn't about that.